XRP is moving on to the next level of growth. How much do you think buyers will get? Leave your answers in the comments. The U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, has dropped charges against Chris Larsson, chairman and co-founder of Ripple Labs, and Brad Garlinghouse, CEO. A recent court brief says that the plaintiff, the SEC, politely told the court that its claims against defendants Christian Larsson and Bradley Garlinghouse have been agreed to be dropped. This was made very clear to the court yesterday in a hearing by James K. Phelan, a lawyer for the XRP. People in the XRP community had things to say about the news. Stuart Alderati, who is close to Ripple, talked about the SEC's move to drop the lawsuit against Larsson and Garlinghouse. He said in a statement that the SEC's made a mistake when they went after the company's leaders, which caused the company to give up. To everyone's surprise, Ripple's top lawyer called the SEC's move a capitulation instead of a deal. Aside from Alderati, other people who follow XRP also reacted to the news. One expert says that the regulator dropped the charges because it didn't want to lose again on the third occasion. Do you remember that on July 13, the court said that most of the deals that the SEC says are stocks are not? The SEC also tried to approve an interlocutory appeal, but the court said no. The court's ruling on the trial in April 2024 may have been another important one in the case. The case was thrown out, which was a big win for Ripple and caused the price of XRP to go through the roof. Statistics from CoinGecko show that the price of XRP went up by more than 10 after the news came out. It's interesting that XRP went from a low of 477 cents to a high of 528 cents in just 24 hours. At the time of press, the value of the currency had gone up by 6.3% in the last 24 hours, to 512 cents. The SEC first charged Garlinghouse and Larsson with helping Ripple Labs break securities laws by selling XRP to large buyers. As was already said, the court decided on July 13 that Ripple's sales to institutions are investment contracts but not sales to regular buyers. So, the court set April 2024 as the date for the jury hearing of the SEC's case against Ripple executives. Since the SEC's dropped their charges against Garlinghouse and Larsson, there will not be a trial in April 2020. The sitio will work with Ripple to figure out what should be done about the fact that the company broke securities rules with its institutional sales. If the SEC doesn't agree with the court's decision on programmatic sales and other distributions after the remedy stage, they could file a full review of the case. Also, the SEC and Ripple might be able to come to a deal that ends the multi-year legal battle. So, yeah, the agency hasn't said anything about getting ready for a deal. It looks like it wants to appeal the court's decision from July 13, which said that programmatic sales and other XRP payments are not stocks. In the court battle between Ripple and the SEC this year, Ripple had some success when Judge Annalisa Torres ruled in its favor. The SEC's appeal was also turned down, and the case against Ripple's CEO and co-founder was dropped. A letter to Judge Torres says that the sitio wants to meet with Ripple on November 9 to talk things over. What happens at the end of the meeting on November 9 could have big effects on Ripple, XRP, and the coin market as a whole. At this conference, possible solutions to Ripple's claimed Section 5 violations will be talked about. This meeting is a big step in the court battle that Ripple and the SEC are still in. Even though we don't know what the meeting was about in full yet, it is a big event in the case. This meeting is meant to pave the way for talks about other solutions and how to finally settle the case. There are a lot of people in the Bitcoin community and the law world who are paid close attention to today. Legal experts say the SEC has a small chance of winning, and even if they do, the process would be long and hard to understand. It would take a very long time for the case to be resolved because the SEC would have to go through many meetings and appeals. The XRP community should be ready for more news about this case. The good news is that XRP's status as a non-security is not expected to change. The case might not be over for a while, which is bad news. XRP went up on Monday, along with the rest of the coin market. People bought cryptos because they were hopeful that the SEC would allow BACA to operate at TEFS. but the chance of a settlement in the current SEC v Ripple case made the 3-day winning streak even better. Last week, the SEC dropped its charges against Brad Garlinghouse and Chris Larsson. Notably, the SEC also told the court that the SEC and Ripple were still trying to come to an agreement on how to fix the problems that were being blamed on Ripple. According to the court document, the accusations were related to Section 5 breaches that happened when the company sold XRP to institutions. One camera thinks that the SEC wants to settle the last few charges quickly so that they can appeal the decision on the automated sales. Others thought Ripple had a stronger position because of the papers linked to Hyman's speech. The SEC asked the court to give the parties until November 9 to settle the claims that were still open. This case between SEC and EV Ripple will still be interesting to investors. It would be good for XRP if there was progress towards a solution that was agreed upon by SEC and no one contested the programmatic sales judgment. Aside from the SEC v Ripple case, investors will also be interested in the SEC v Coinbase coin case. Investors are waiting to hear what will happen with Coinbase's request to fire MT. Coinbase says that the SEC doesn't have the formal power to keep an eye on the cryptocurrency business. Lawyers for the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission have said that they will try to get rid of all charges against Brad Garlinghouse, CEO of Ripple, and Chris Larsson, Executive Chair. In a statement on October 19 with the SEC told the court in the Southern District of New York that the people involved in the case against Ripple have agreed to the dismissal with prejudice. This means that there was no need to set up a trial. The filing didn't say anything about the SEC dropping its lawsuit against Ripple, which it had filed in the first place in 2020. The SEC and Ripple are going to get together to talk about a possible briefing schedule for the case's outstanding problem. What should be done about Ripple's violations of Point 5 when it comes to selling XRP to institutions? I kindly ask that this be done by November 9, 2018. The filing says that 2023 to either ask the court to consider such a schedule or, if the parties can't agree, to ask the court for a hearing schedule on a contested basis.